Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard 101 video. Today, I'm going to be talking about KI's update policy because, and this is a very specific thing that I remember, in my side world video that I made a few days ago, I got a lot of comments from people, and by a lot, I mean like there was quite a few that said KI can barely release worlds anymore, let alone side worlds. They're not going to add a side world. And these comments drew a lot of question marks from me. Like, I was really confused by them because, and this is like a thing, is that KI's update policy has not changed since like in the last probably 10 years. And I'm really confused by what people mean. Now, I think... Okay, let me just describe the update policy, and then I can go further in depth. So, what Kingsisle does, and this is what they've done since, like, probably Celestia, maybe, is they will release a world once a year, usually in the fall, and that's what they've consistently done. If you look in the past, you look at the past updates, that is usually what they do. Now, once a year is actually really good for them because it gives them not only a lot of time to work on it, but it also leaves the other 3/4 of the year to work on other updates. So for example, last year, right, we had Caramel come out in, I think, the fall. Well, in the summer update, we had the new character overhaul, so there's the new character looks. In the spring update, we had the spell audit. I'm not really sure what we had in the winter update, but we definitely had something. But that's basically my point, is that they designate 1/4 for the world to be released once a year, and then the others for other quality of life changes. And I think this is a really, really good update policy, and I don't really understand why people dislike it. I think that it's perfect because it gives them enough time to make a very quality world to release, and genuinely it also gives them time for other updates, right? Which is really, really good in my opinion. I wouldn't want them to pump out 5 worlds a year. I think that that would quickly become either old or the game quality would deteriorate significantly. But I mean, just look at the last worlds that they've released, right? Polaris, Mirage, Imperia, Caramel, all really, really quality worlds. I mean, I don't know what most people think of them, but to me, every single one of them is a good world, and even bordering on fantastic. Like, Polaris is an amazing world. It's one of the best worlds in this game. Excuse me. Mirage is probably one of my favorite worlds of all time. I know people people disagree with that, but I love Mirage. And Imperia and Caramel are both really, really good. And I think that they wouldn't be nearly as good if, say, they released them like once every half year instead. Like, say we were like 3-4 worlds ahead of where we are now. I don't think that those worlds would be nearly as loved because I think that the time and effort put into them really shows. And without that full year, it can be really hard. Now, let's talk about other companies and why this update policy works so well for Kingsisle and not really for other companies. Well, first off, a world is much easier to make than most things. So for example, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of this policy is Pokemon. I don't know if you guys know, but Game Freak Nintendo will release a Pokemon title once a year, usually in November, because November is a good time for games. The problem with this is that the Pokemon games are usually very underdeveloped and not ready to come out yet, and it makes it so that usually it's kind of a shoddy release, and it's been like this since Sun and Moon. Now, I personally think Pokemon could really benefit well from a bi-yearly release, so I think that's... Yeah, that's not half a year, that's every 2 years, right? I think so. But basically, I think it would be really, really good for them if they did that, because I think that it would make the games much more quality to have that full extra year to go in depth with it. Now, the reason why Kingsisle doesn't need to do this, or doesn't need to shorten it, is because a year is a perfect amount of time to invest in a single world in the game, like especially with the length they've been making them, and to have plenty of content, very rich content, and make it to their heart's desire. And I think that really it shows that they've done this. Like, the worlds are very fleshed out. Like, just compare it to past worlds, right? Like, Caramel, there's definitely, like, side quests in every single street. The quest line is, like, immaculate, perfect, right, whatever. But you look at Dragonspire, there's maybe some streets don't even have side quests. They don't even have, like, things mapped out. And I think that that's just because they weren't, well, A, they weren't as good at making games as they are now. And 2, it was underdeveloped because they didn't know how to fully utilize that. And now that they do, it's a perfect amount of time. Now, what's some downsides to this? Because I've talked about how good it is. We're probably not going to get another side world for a while. Like, that's probably not going to happen. And the reason for that is that that would probably knock off some of their update schedule, because they would have to spend quite a bit of time investing in that side world, and I don't think that they would invest that much time and release it in place of a main world. They would probably do like a half-year release, similar to like when they release a part 1 and a part 2 of a world, where they release it in 2 quarters. I think that a side world wouldn't be released like that. I think that they would want to invest time in it if they did make one, and they aren't willing to do that to interrupt their Arc 4 plans, in my opinion. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Kingsisle. You can feel free to release a side world and prove me wrong. I will gladly take it. But I think that still applies. Like, that's why they won't make a side world. But I was just really surprised in that video, I guess. I saw those comments, and I'm like, they barely release worlds. They release worlds at the rate they need to. And if you think otherwise, I think that you are just very wrong. Like, this is the rate that they need to release worlds. If they release them faster, they won't be nearly as good, and then everyone will complain about something else. That's the way life works. You can't rush things. You can't just go, okay, you know, like you can't eat like a raw banana and be like, why isn't this taste good? It's because it's raw. Not raw, but it's not ripened. You need to wait, right? Like, you can't rush things. It doesn't work like that. You gotta slow it down, wait for the updates. And I think that what they're doing right now is fine, and they've been doing it for years, and they'll probably keep doing it for years. So, that's it for today. That's all I wanted to do. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like at the sub button. Let me know if you agree with me, disagree with me, whatever. But I genuinely think, like, this is the right way to do it, and KI's going to keep doing it. So, your opinion does not matter. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.